Hi, it's Jordan Thompson again from Citywide Mortgages, speaking with my favorite realtor, Gary Wong. Thank you, Gary,
Thank you,
again
Jordan.
for speaking with
Thank you.
me. So, our topic today is buying a property and wanting to know if it's a good investment for those people that are looking at adding investment or rental properties to their portfolio. First question, how does a buyer know if a property is a good investment?
First question I ask to my clients is, are you a good investor? Everyone who comes to me always talks about investment real estate. It's like, oh, I'm an investor. I'm an investor. Oh, okay. How many properties do you own? One, two. And then when I talk further and go a little bit in depth into what they understand as investment, I realize it's a pretty preliminary level. They're looking at just buying a property, maybe renting it out. They don't really understand cash flow, positive cash flow. They're more like thinking of, oh, the property's going to go up and then I'm going to sell it. So more like flipping, long-term flipping, as opposed to short-term. So it's not really like the HGTV shows where it's like, you know, buy a garbage dump and then renovate for 50 grand and then sell for 200 grand more. It's not that realistic.
Okay, so the first thing that they really want to know is whether or not they are buying a cash flow property,
Right.
or they're buying a property to actually add to an existing portfolio, like you said, a more advanced um, investor.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I'm wanting to purchase something that will give me cash flow so that it services the mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
possibly the condo fees, the property tax, and all the costs obviously associated with
Mm-hmm.
the property. Where are some of the hot spots that I could look at in Greater Vancouver to buy a cash flow positive property?
Cash flow positive. I would say probably in Chilliwack, Abbotsford, some areas in Maple Ridge, and some areas in Surrey.
So you're certainly looking farther
Yes,
out
definitely.
into the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
And would I be looking for a two-bedroom or two-bedroom plus property out in the burbs? Or do they have a better potential?
I would say probably multifamily. You'd probably be looking for something that has at least 2 or 3 suites.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
For if you want somewhere closer to the Fraser Valley, like Surrey, you're looking for something that has 2 or 3 suites. For anything farther out, Abbotsford, Chilliwack, Mission, you can actually get properties that positive cash flow. Not a lot, but still positive cash flows.
Okay, and it's always important as a mortgage broker, making sure that you're pre-qualified for that and letting me or whomever you're speaking with know that you are looking at a multifamily property, as that will determine what type of financial institution we're going to look at. And then obviously the cash flow, because we're going to look at that cash flow and see how it works with the mortgage payments. So let's say it's not about cash flow. My cash flow is fine. I don't mind putting in a little extra money, and I want to buy an investment property because I want to start building that portfolio that I can, keep long term. Where would be some good spots to look?
I would say because most people they want to build a portfolio. They want to look at they see the neighbor that owns 5 or 10 properties and they collect rent. So and then the neighbor that they know have 5 or 10 properties, and they're all local in Vancouver or Burnaby. So when I talk to them about positive cash flow in Chilliwack, Abbotsford, Maple Ridge, they're like, oh, wow, it's too far. I don't know how to manage it. I don't want to drive that far. So sometimes they hire property management companies, which it's a hit and miss. Sometimes you get good ones, sometimes you get bad ones. So the important thing is before you hire a property management company, first learn how to property manage yourself. Because if you don't know how to manage a property yourself, how do you know if the property manager is doing a good job or not? So, but most people who look at that neighbor with the 5 or 10 properties in Vancouver, they probably are buying properties that are negative cash flow, or when the properties were much cheaper back in the day, 10, 20, 30 years ago, where you could potentially positive cash flow at that time. So now you're probably looking at buying condos or houses and then renting out the suite, and you're just banking on asset appreciation. And then when the property appreciates in value, you refinance, use that money to put a down payment on a second property, and you do the same thing over and over again until you build a little nest egg.
And those are definitely properties that you want to hold on long term.
Yes.
So somebody looking at a long term investment, and not just like you said, buying and flipping. So
Correct.
is that of the past where people just buy the fixer uppers and no problem we can just renovate them, no problem, and just flip them and make a substantial profit?
It depends. It depends because those people who did that, they knew how to renovate, and they did it at a pretty good cost. Nowadays, they watch TV and they think, oh well, it's cost $20,000 to renovate, and they can make $50,000 off of that. But they don't really know because they haven't talked to contractors locally who, probably $20,000 is just the cost of the materials.
Yeah.
So they get the television shows are a little bit skewed and biased, and it's not an accurate representation of what happens out there. So I would say probably the buy, reno, and flip is for the more advanced investor. I'm not discouraging you to get into that, but if you are to get into the buy, reno, and flip, make sure you talk to the right contractors, learn the costs, always do your due diligence, which includes running the numbers, talking to your realtor, make sure you have a good team, a mortgage broker, a realtor, your contractor, make sure the numbers work. So, basically profit equals revenue minus expenses, and then do that. But mostly, I would say just probably for the average investor, buying property one by one in great areas where the property would appreciate, that's probably a good, safe way to go.
Great. Well, awesome advice by Gary Wong. Thank you so much, Gary. And how can we reach you?
You can find me at GaryWongRealty.com, or I'm pretty popular on YouTube. You can find me at VancouverRealEstateTV.com.
Great. And again, I'm Jordan Thompson from Citywide Mortgages, Jordan Thompson CA. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you.